Hi everyone, and welcome back to episode 2 of Steffi's Got a Sore Throat. Oh yes, in today's video I'll be showing you how to create 3 gorgeous designs using pigment or our acrylic colors. Let's get cracking. So for our first design, I'm gonna be doing an ombre French. A lot of people has asked me to actually create a video on how I paint French. So I'm gonna start off by using a color that I absolutely love. It's called Blank Canvas and it's a sheer nude. Now it's got a bit of a peachy undertone. So a lot of ladies have been messaging me lately asking, what is a great color for a deeper skin tone? So this is the one, ladies. Blank Canvas. It's got a gorgeous peachy undertone and it's really nice for anyone that's got a gorgeous brown skin like me. And with it being sheer, as you guys know, we need to give it time to self-level before we put it back into the lamp so it looks even and not darker in certain areas. So I'm going to give it a couple of seconds just to self-level, and then I'm going to pop it back into the lamp. Right, so we've got both layers cured. Just in case, because you don't want the pigment to stick on to that nude section, I'm going to go in with a lint-free wipe and give the nail a good wipe just to remove all that residue that's left over on the top of the nail. Now, to start off the French design, I'm going to go in with Snow White. And what I'm going to do is firstly establish how deep I want my smile line or how wide I want the lower section of the nail to be painted. So I want my French to be quite deep, so it's not going to be all the way up here. So I'm just going to mark up a line just like so, from one side to the other, just like this. So I'm just kind of marking up where that French is going to come up to. So I've done that. It's got a nice straight line. And now what I'm going to do is take a dotting tool and mark up where I want the smile line to start. Usually you start it where the nail stops growing, so at the end of the nail on your finger. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 2 dots, one here and one just opposite that. So it gives you a nice clear indication of where you're going to start your smile line. Now before I fill it in, what I like to do is basically section off the bottom half of the nail. So I'm gonna firstly establish where the midsection is, which is here. So I've just painted a line, and then I'm gonna go ahead and divide those 2 sections into 2. So one here and one here. So I know where to drag the lines to. And I know when to put my phone on silent. So I'm going to go in with my favorite brush, of course, 0003. And what I'm going to do now is basically join that dot with this line over here. All right, so all I'm going to do is just draw a nice straight line and join it with that line that we created over here. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. So take that and just draw a nice straight line. So now we know what our smile line is going to look like. So all I'm going to do now is basically start filling it in, and then we'll curve all the lines to bring them together. So I'm filling in the product. Okay. And now all that's left to do is actually curve those 2 lines so it's not as square. So all I'm going to do is basically join them up together. Just like so. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. And there you have it, guys, the perfect French. If you have put a little bit too much product on one side, you can just go in with a 3D brush. I personally recommend, rather than doing 2 layers, because then it will be bumpy, right? Just put a lot of product on the first time and just make sure you drag the product around so it's spread across evenly, and then you don't have to do it again. So I've got my French line here, my French smile line here. Let me just take off a little bit here because I have just messed up a little bit. So I've taken this off. I've got my French smile line ready. All I want to do now is cure it for 30 seconds before I add some pigment on. Right, so I've got this French smile line cured. What I'm going to do now is, if I find that brush, it's here. I'm going to go in with our acrylic colors. So I've got those colors laid out here for you guys to see, but we'll have them listed below for you as well. I've just put them on a tissue paper because I know I'm going to get messy. So I'm going to go in with a shading brush, and I'm just going to pick up some color and start, patting it onto that smile line that I've created earlier. So I'm going to go in with yellow and really work it in. I'm going to go into green. I'm going to go and work that green in. There we go. And then I'm going to go into blue just on the corner here. Now, the good thing about using the acrylic powders as to using pigments is the fact that because they're kind of, they've got acrylic in and the color is not as bright, the transition when mixing those is more seamless than if you would go with pure pigment. Pure pigment is so pigmented, you'll get like a blotchy kind of look. But if you use acrylic, because it's kind of toned down, with it being mixed with acrylic, you get a better transition. So we've got this nail over here. Look how gorgeous this is. Got it over here. I'm just gonna dust off all the excess with my dusting brush. And if I feel like I've stained the nail itself, which I have, for example, on here, I'm gonna go into this gel residue wipe-off solution with the lint-free, squirt a little bit on my 3D brush and just kind of clean up over here. Be very careful, because if you clean it too much, then you'll be able to see the white underneath where you've laid that pigment. So I've cleaned it up. Look how gorgeous this is. I have dusted off everything, and now I'm gonna go in with our Urban Graffiti top coat, and I'm gonna seal in the design. Make sure you cap the edges, guys, as well, just to lock in that color, all that goodness. And there you have it, guys. Design number 1 done. Look how gorgeous this is. I've also done another one with a few more colors. If you can see earlier on, it just looks absolutely gorgeous. Right, so for our second design, where's the nail? Where's the nail? It's here. For our second design, we're going to be doing like a snake print, but with a bit of a neon-y psychedelic background, I would say, maybe. So I've buffed my nail. I'm going to go in with Snow White, of course, and apply a couple of thin layers all over the nail. Right, so I've got both layers cured. I'm going to go back into that shading brush, and I'm going to go ahead and just create a bit of a ombre-ish kind of design. So I'm going to start with purple and just lay it on the top of the nail, just over there. I'm going to go into the blue straight after and just work it into the nail. I'm then going to go into the green. Oh, I've missed the pink.
Oh no.
It's alright. We might be able to add it in the end after the orange. Yes, we can actually.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was worried.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
So we've got the orange, and I'm gonna go in with that pink. Oh yes, look at that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and dust off the excess from the nail. Now, I want to encapsulate all these gorgeous colors into the nail. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply a very thin layer of our Urban Graffiti top coat on top of this before we start our design. A nice thin layer, cap the edges, and pop it into the lamp. Right, so we've got this gorgeous, layer cured with all the pigment acrylic underneath. I'm gonna go in to our gorgeous blooming gel, which I'm obsessed about lately for some reason. All I want to do is keep using that blooming gel. So I'm gonna apply a nice thin layer all over the nail, and of course, guys, we're not gonna be curing it until we add our design on. So I've got my blooming gel on, and now I'm gonna go in with Cerise Black on my palette. I've got some black on already, but that's a colder black. That's gonna be doing some line work with a bit later on. So I've got my 0003 brush, which I haven't cleaned yet. And I'm gonna go into that Cerise Black and pick up a load of this color, be quite generous, and start painting stripes on the nail, all right? So I'm just gonna go in one and keep going and let it bloom. It's nice that all lines are not really kind of uniform because you want it to be kind of, still kind of looking natural, if it makes sense. And now we're going to go in with a dotting tool, if I can find it, and add some dots on the side. I'm going to do it quickly on the other side before there's no enough gel for it to bloom. And look at that, guys. In less than literally 2 seconds, we've got a gorgeous snake print design using a blooming gel. How gorgeous is that? What do you think?
Yeah, looks great.
I love it. It's a very festival-y vibe, I would say. And all these transitional like colors underneath, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm gonna give it a quick cure before it blooms a little bit too much. Right, so we've got this layer cured, which is gorgeous. What I want to do is just add a little bit of white lines here and there just to make that print pop out slightly more, if it makes sense. So I'm going to go in, pick up some white, and just add a little bit of like lines at the bottom here. They're very, very faint lines, but I think this little highlight adds a bit of a dimension and kind of, a little bit extra. Oh, look at that. That looks so much better now. Definitely. See, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you do.
So I've got a little bit here, just like so. OMG, that looks good. I'm gonna put some lines here. Do I want to add them on the side? Let's see. A little bit here. I think it just adds that extra kind of reptile-y, snaky kind of effect. So I'm just adding a little bit. And I'm going to give it a cure for 30 seconds, and then I'm going to go ahead and top coat this for you guys. Right, so we've got this layer cured. I'm going to go in with our Urban Graffiti top coat. Put a nice thin layer on this bad boy because it looks gorgeous. Oh my, I really want to wear this right now. I'm actually looking for ideas for my birthday nails, guys, and I don't know what to wear. We've got 2 weeks. Any ideas? Comment below. Favorite color, red and gold. And I'm gonna pop this back into the lamp. And there you have it, guys. Design number 2 done. Absolutely gorgeous. Oh, I don't know if you can see this madness over here, but it is stunning, isn't it, Drew?
Looks beautiful.
Think it will suit you?
Oh, yeah. I'd rock that at Coachella.
Oh, yes. Coachella vibes, definitely. Love it. Right, so for design number 3, you know what's coming, guys. You know what's coming. A little bit extra, always. As I always go for the hardest one at the end. We're going to do some graffiti-inspired nail art. All right? So I'm going to be using a new color. I'm not actually sure if it's been released yet or not, but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous color called Autumn Days. Wow, I want to show you. It needs a moment. Look at that. Look at that. Oh yes, this is the color. I mean, I saw it for the first time yesterday. I mean, there's so many colors for me to choose from, but instantly knew that was the one. So I'm gonna go in and paint a nice thin layer all over the nail. And for this design, we're only gonna do 1 layer of this color. I'm gonna paint it all over the nail. I mean, guys, this color is super opaque. I wish you could see how gorgeous this is. I can't wait to do some autumn designs with it, really, with leaves and whatnot. But I'm getting carried away now. Let's focus on our graffiti nails. So I've got this first layer on, and I'm gonna cure it now before I get distracted. Right, so we've got our first layer cured. I'm now gonna go into Old Soul. I'm using the brush from the bottle, but I'm really removing any excess product that's left over. And all I'm going to do is stroke the nail down randomly just to create some strokes on the nail, just randomly. Now, please don't try and be very clean with the application of this because you want it to look messy. It looks a lot nicer for the background that we're going to do. So, unfortunately, I've covered most of that goodness and gorgeous color, but I still want it to come through. All right, so you've seen what I've done. I've dragged the color, and I'm now going to pop it into the lamp. So, we've got this second layer cured. I'm now going to go in and start painting some brick walls. All right, so I'm going to start with just painting lines across the nail. And trust me, guys, you don't want those lines to be neat or even in their thickness because you want it to look a bit like messy, if it makes sense. And again, this bit is quite fast because you don't really have to be super, perfect with your line work or anything. The rough edges or the rough look will give it more of an edge. So we've got all these lines over here, if you can see what it looks like right now. And what I'm going to do now is add those lines to add the bricks. Well, not...
Yeah, to mark out the individual bricks.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to go in and just add a line here and one here. And to make it even easier, now that I've got these 2 lines, I'm just going to skip one and do the same. One, skip one, do the same. Skip one, do the same. Skip one, do the same. Boom. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. So I'm skipping, but I'm carrying on. Skipping, and then skipping. right? And now we've only got the lines that we skipped. So I'm going to do one in the middle section, in the middle of those two lines. One, skip, one, skip, and one, skip. Boom. And we've got our bricks ready. Now what I want to be doing is just clean off. Sometimes I just overlap those lines and it looks like it's just gone above. And I've done it last time as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and just neaten up those lines. I feel like, for example, here it's quite long, so I might need to add another line. Quite happy with how it looks. Going to go in to my 3D brush. Just make sure it's all nice and clean in between, just like so. And now that I'm happy with the brick wall behind, look how gorgeous this looks already, right?
Looks great. You could have leave it at that, couldn't you?
Yeah, I know.
Just do a brick.
But we're not. We're going to do more work, guys. So we've got the brick wall. I'm going to cure it for the full length of time. And before we start painting, we have to remove that tacky layer. Right, so we've got this bad boy cured over here. I'm going to go in with a lint-free wipe, like I said. Wipe that thing off. Make sure you take all the tacky layer off. So once we start painting and filling in with pigment, it doesn't stick to the white. So that's ready. Now I'm going to be cheating a little bit today. I'm going to be using our dotting tool to mark out where I want my graffiti to go on the nail. So I want the word love to go on. So what I'm going to do is basically map out the mid two letters first and then go from there. Because sometimes when you start from the top, you realize that, ooh, the letters are a bit too big. And then if you start from the bottom, ooh, I don't have, enough space for the top letter. So midsection, always the way. Right, I'm gonna go in with the super cold Snow White and I'm gonna start mapping out the O. So I'm just gonna go in and paint an O. Okay, so the reason I'm doing it like this is like when you imagine graffiti, when they spray on the wall, it's always these motions, or when they do the O, it's like one. And sometimes it doesn't really meet, so it has to be have a bit of a, you know what I mean.
Flow to it.
Yeah, a bit of a flow to it. So I've got the O. I'm going to do the V now, which is going to be here. And I'm just marking it out with the dotting tool because it's going to be thick anyway. And there's no point painting it with a brush. I mean, we're going to go in with a brush to refine the lines in a bit, but we can do most of the work with the dotting tool. So I'm going to go in with the E. So I've got the E here. All right. And the last letter, which is going to be the L. So I'm going to start with the line on here. And add a little bit of a thingy here. So we've got our love mapped out for us. I'm now going to go in with 0001 brush, guys. Yes, sometimes I do use, well, actually, this used to be my favorite brush before. So I'm going to go in with my 0001 brush. And I'm just going to go ahead and refine the lines before I give this a cure. And it's easier to control the color with shorter bristles. It's easier to control a brush with shorter bristles anyway. The more comfortable you get, the longer you can go with the bristles, I mean. Right, so I'm happy with the way it looks now. Into the lamp for 30 seconds. So we've got our, oh my God, I was like shocked. 1 second, sir. Sorry guys, we're talking about lunch right now, which I'm going to have very soon. So I've got the Love Cured. I'm gonna go in with my shading brush and I'm gonna start an ombre on those letters. I'm gonna go in with the yellow and just work it in like I did before. And then I'm gonna go into pink and start working it in as well. It's got a nice ombre. Ooh, look at that. And then I'm gonna go in straight into the blue and then work it in just like so. Look at that. Boom, that looks incredible. Oh, sorry, I'm so excited. So I'm gonna put that on, and what I'm gonna do now is take my dusting brush, very important, dust all the excess off. And if you've stained the background, go ahead and use the 3D brush with a little bit of gel residue wipe-off solution. But I didn't do it today, so we're gonna go straight into outlining. So I'm gonna clean off my my brush, which is full of white from earlier on, and I'm gonna go ahead and dip it onto Cerise Black and just start outlining the letters. All right. Right, so I've outlined all the letters. I'm now going to remove most of the product from the brush and just add a little bit of like lines in the midsection of the design, okay? So it's going to be just random lines, just like so, look. Just to add some more detail. Very thin line, guys. Makes it a bit more funky. And before we cure it for the last time, yes, I promise, well, 2 times, we're gonna go in with Cerise Black, and what we're gonna do now is just create those little dots that they have. So I'm just gonna flip the brush and press it down and drag it upwards, just like so. So we're creating those dots. You know, there's dots that are left after the spray paint is like wet.
With the paint drips.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Thanks, Drew. I'm gonna do it this way. Let me just take some of the black. I've put a little bit extra on here. Please. There we go. Taking that off. And I'm gonna continue doing that on all letters. So I've got all of this on here. Wow, this is absolutely gorgeous. I'm just going to neaten up some of the lines and I'm going to get it back into the lamp and cure it for the full length of time, guys. Right, so we've got our nail here nicely ready. What I'm gonna do now, I usually like when I do it on a client and I do a lot of artwork, I do like to top coat it first to seal in all the design, and then I'm gonna go in with an ultra matte top coat to finish off the design. So I'm just layering a nice layer just to like seal in the design. I just feel that sometimes when you do a lot of artwork and you use pigments, it's better off to really encapsulate it with, you know, a shiny one and then go in with matte. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and then apply matte top coat. So here's the result with it being a shiny top coat. Now obviously you guys can leave it there, but I'm going to apply a layer of matte because I think graffiti looks amazing with matte, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's fully cured. And there you have it, guys. Design number 3 done. Look how gorgeous this is. I love it. Love it. It is absolutely gorgeous. I hope you enjoyed this one. Give it a go and let me know what you think. But yeah, this is our 3 gorgeous designs for the day. So we've got our graffiti one, we've got a psychedelic kind of snake print, and we've got a gorgeous ombre French. So there you have it, guys. 3 gorgeous designs. Let me know which one is your favorite. Of course, you all know which one is mine. Number 3. Try to recreate this, tag me, show me what you can do with your pigments, and let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite design. Until next time, guys, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Turn the notification buttons on, and I'll see you all on the next one. Take care, guys. Booyaka, we did it! Hey, hey! Sorry. Drew's like, just shut up and keep going.
Just keep it going.
Just keep it going. Just keep rolling.